An absolutely pathetic performance by the Washington Commanders. They got absolutely humiliated on Monday Night Football. Terry McLaurin got hurt. The offense was abysmal. The defense wasn't too much better. A lot to unpack in this video. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe. Hit that like button and that notification bell as well so you never miss a video. So let's get right into it. So the Commanders this was an awful game. So many different things went wrong in this game, and the Commanders got even more injured. If that was somehow possible, Terry McLaurin out again. I'm not going to say they rushed him back, but the dude gets injured again. And then also you got Javon Kinlaw out. Just so many things that, end up happening in this game. Just absolutely pathetic by the Washington Commanders, Dan Quinn, and everyone. And I'm going to talk about Dan Quinn because I thought what he did today, especially at the end of the game, was absolutely pathetic and humiliating. But let's start with this offense because the defense, they allowed 28 points, but the defense kept the Commanders in this game for a lot of the game, and you really can't ask for too much more. 7 points allowed in the in the first half, and allowed them to be in it. The Commanders should have been up like 21-7 at half, and it was 7-7 with the Chiefs getting the ball in the second half. And just Marcus Mariota, he was fine in this game, 21 for 29. The offensive line missed some assignments. He had one touchdown, had an interception. Deebo Samuel, pathetic performance today. I know he's hurt, but still absolutely pathetic. I mean, he drops the pass, hits his face mask, interception on a drive that you're doing well. I'm not saying they win if that play is made, but you never know with momentum. And sometimes, momentum, that changes a game. And who knows, if they score a touchdown on that first drive, who knows how the rest of the game goes. And I just, Deebo's performance today, I mean, let's look at it. He had 3 catches, 11 yards on six targets. And also, let's add in that he basically had a turnover. It was an interception, and it's on Marcus Mariota's stat sheet, but obviously that shouldn't count towards Marcus Mariota. That should count towards Deebo Samuel. And, Mariota, he had some, misses, the 4th and 1, which, the play was open. The play was there. Zach Ertz should have gotten the ball, but, I think they should have ran. It was 2nd and 2, and they ended up passing on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th down, which I just don't understand. And, but Marcus Mariota throws it deep to Terry, which uncatchable, and also you just need 1 yard. I don't understand why he did that. And Zach Ertz was wide open, in the middle of the field, and he just completely misses him, and that was bad. That was bad. But besides that, Mariota was fine in this game. The hurdle attempt was bad. It just sucks, man, because this team is not good. I'm sorry. Even when Jaden's back, the team is not good. Yes, they're hurt, and I understand that. But guys that we expected to ball out didn't make plays. And I think if I didn't mention it, the guys that injured Terry and Javon Kinlaw, I didn't mention Laramie Tunsil, who also got hurt. They try to rush him back. Or not rush him back, but I mean, I guess so. They try to bring him back. I guess Mariota just threw an interception because I'm recording this with a couple minutes left. But, they bring him back. He gets hurt. I thought Coleman was good. And there's it's official, 28-7. Commanders fall to 3-5. And I feel bad for the rest of the country that has to watch us, on Monday Night Football these last 2 out of the last 3 weeks, and then Sunday Night Football next week. And they're not going to rush back Jane Daniels anytime soon. But, offensively, they were moving the ball early on in the game. But, Cliff Kingsbury just making some questionable decisions, in my opinion, not running the ball more. You have also terrible, the refs were not the reason we lost this game. But let me just be clear. They were awful. I don't think I've seen worse refs in missing simple calls. I just don't get it. The Terry touchdown, from what the angle I saw, I thought, right when I saw it, I was like, all right, that's a touchdown. But you know what? The refs were right there. Surely he's going to make the right call. Of course he doesn't. And, that you had that one. You had the other Terry catch. You had one spot that was awful that ended up getting, overturned, and they got the first down on that play. You had another spot, which, again, speaking of momentum, 4th and 6, Zach Ertz clearly got it. And, they call it short. And they do the virtual, assist or whatever it's called with the measurement. But here's the thing. the virtual measurement is just basing off of where the ref put it. It's not like a tracker in the ball where wherever the runner went, it's going to call that. No, because if you think about it, that's just not going to really work unless they really, change some things up. So it's wherever the ref spotted it. So if the ref spotted it short because it was clearly a bad spot, it's not going to change with the virtual assessment. It's just so that they don't have to move the chains on the field, and it's supposed to make it quicker. I don't know if it's challengeable, but my guess is it is because, you can still challenge the spot that the refs made. And I think Dan Quinn should have definitely done that. I don't know if he knew the rules. If he didn't know the rules, then that's clearly on him. If someone knows for sure the rule on that, let me know. That was bad. And then, that play, the Deebo Samuel play in the first half, if you make those plays, that's hopefully 14 points, on those two drives, maybe 10 minimum, and you're looking at a completely different ball game. And then the 4th and 1 that they end up throwing it 30 yards down the field out of bounds to Terry McLaurin. Just bad, man. And the injuries, are continuing to pile up. And, Terry McLaurin, what a mess this season has been for him, and just awful look. Hopefully he's good, but, we know the noise with Terry about him is just going to continue to increase after this game. And, you can just see the storylines being written, and already written about, he, holds out, gets paid, isn't in shape, gets hurt, comes back, gets hurt again. I'm not saying I necessarily fully agree with all that, but of course, Terry, I don't think he handled the situation perfectly, and maybe neither did the team, but still, he should have been out there practicing. I'm not saying that's what caused this, but still, they paid him, and he's played in 2 full games this year. 2 full games. So it's not been a good season for Terry McLaurin, even though he had a decent game when he was out there and, only on 4 targets, but he had 54 catches. And another thing is this was before he re-aggravated the injury. They kept pulling him off the field on 3rd down. I'm like, what are you doing? I don't know if that's on Cliff. I don't know if that's on the medical staff. I don't know if that's on Dan Quinn. I don't care. I don't know why you're taking him out on 3rd down. You take him out on 3rd and 5, and guess what? You throw the ball to Jalen Lane Butterfingers, who, should have probably made that catch and obviously should have had the catch on the return. And I like Jalen Lane. I'm a Hokie too, so big. Really wanted us to draft him, but the hands haven't been great by Jalen Lane, and you want your star receiver that you're paying $30+ million a year to be on the field on those 3rd down situations. And if he's on a snap count, totally understand that. Then you know what you do? Take him out on 2nd down, on 1st down. Put him in on 3rd down, obvious passing situations. He doesn't need to be in there on a 2nd and 1 where you're hopefully running the ball, which they didn't really do. Let's look at the carries. Bill had 9 carries in this game. It wasn't super effective, but still, I would have liked to run the ball a little bit more. Maybe switch it up, give it to Jeremy McNichols a little bit more. The run game was not effective, but still, you would like to see them run the ball a little bit more. And it's just, this season's been so sad compared to last year, where everything went right for them last year, from the actual games to the injuries, just everything went right. And this year it's been the complete opposite. The worst possible luck you could get injury-wise, basically, with the defense. Your top 3 defensive ends out, your one of your best D tackles out, and then also, here's one of your safeties out. Just so many, cornerback out for a while. There's just so many injuries. It just sucks. But it is what it is. You can't make too many excuses. There's teams that are playing well defensively with a lot of injuries. The Commanders aren't one of them. The defense was not the reason they lost the game today. It definitely wasn't. 28 points to the Chiefs isn't awful, and when you consider a lot of those points were just, when they were starting to get gassed because the offense was just, punting the ball or whatever, that's understandable. And Dan Quinn, you're down 28-21, right? The game's over. But, you're obviously going to say you still have a chance. You punch the ball with 6 minutes left. 6 minutes left, down 21. I would love to know what went on there, the decision-making process, because I know the media probably isn't going to ask it. They're going to throw up the softball questions. But why are you punting? You're down 21 with 6 minutes left. The game's essentially over. You should be in the, I don't give a F mode and just try to, get down the field as quickly as possible. Punting the ball does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. I don't understand what you're doing there. He went for it a lot in this game. Maybe he was thrown in the towel, but I still think at that point, why not just go for it? Like, what's the point in seeing Patrick Mahomes hand the ball off to Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco, 10 plays in a row and scoring a touchdown? There's no point in that. I thought, the refs, the Johnny Newton play, I think that was BS personally. Like, yeah, maybe it was a little bit late, but come on, you don't need to call that. You do not need to call that. Johnny Newton had a sack. That was a great play by him. Yeah, he was a little stupid. He shouldn't have. That was I'm not calling him stupid, but I'm saying that was a little bit of a, not the smartest decision by him. But I still don't think that should have been an unnecessary roughness. Quan Martin had one that was warranted, and he missed tackles today. But defensively, wasn't good. Bobby Wagner getting burnt a couple times. Tyler Owens, I really like Tyler Owens, but he was bad today. Jeremy Reeves had some good plays, had some bad plays. Bobby did have a pick, so I'll give him that. Frankie Louisville getting absolutely zero pressure in this game, zero. Jacob Martin, star of the day, offensively / defensively, like on both sides. Not on both sides of the ball, but the best player, out of everyone today. So he had a really good day. Real quick, though, a word from today's sponsor. And a huge shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring today's video. There are a lot of college football games on today for you to make picks to win real money. There's a bunch of NFL games on tomorrow. There's NBA, there's World Series, there's NHL, and you can, make picks on Sleeper. You can also just check all the sports news that you want on Sleeper, which is really, really cool as well. They got fantasy leagues, so make sure you guys check out Sleeper. Use promo code Pedro and get a 100% match up to $100. Link in the description. There also is a free $20 entry you can use as well. Again, check out Sleeper. Link in the description. Again, a huge shout out to Sleeper. So we'll talk a little bit about the defense, but it's late. I don't want to keep you guys too long in this video, but I appreciate everyone who did stay until this point. But defensively, Darnell Savage forced a fumble. I think I don't remember exactly what happened, but I know another player that he didn't make in this game. I think he allowed the touchdown to I think it was the touchdown to Kelsey. Amos had a nice play, also got burnt on one play. And I'm trying to think of besides that, Lattimore had a pick. He had a good game, but they still had a chance. I think it was 14-7 actually. I think it was 14-7, and Darnell Savage forced the fumble. Lattimore doesn't get it. You got to get that, but he tries to pick it up. Got to dive for that. Jacob Martin, huge day, stepped up. Great signing by Adam Peters. He didn't have a good offseason, in my opinion, Adam Peters, but that was a good signing by him. Kinlaw, hopefully he's good, but bicep, whenever you hear the word bicep, I know he tried, I think he said to Daryl Tapper, who I think he's the DT coach, that he wanted to go back in, is a good sign, but whenever you hear the bicep, stuff, usually it's torn, but hopefully it's not. Newton had a sack. Did he have one before that too, or is this they're calling the Mahomes one a sack, but then they're moving it back 15 yards? I don't know, or moving it up 15 yards. McGee, I didn't love what I saw from McGee today, to be honest, but we're gonna have to go back and see on the film. Mikey Sanders still missed a tackle or two, but honestly, probably one of his better games. It is what it is. They didn't kick a field goal. That's fine. I like going for it. They punted it 3 times, and one of them definitely should not have been a punt by the Commanders. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is at this point. The Commanders are 3-5. They should be sellers at the trade deadline. Sell whoever you can. I know people are not going to like this, but I think Debo should move on from him. I'm not saying he's bad or anything, but he's a free agent after this year. He's older. You already have an older receiver in Terry. I think you need to kind of rebuild that room, and Debo is going to cost a lot of money in free agency. I would just say trade him, get a 5th round pick, 4th to 5th round pick, whatever you're going to get, probably a 5th. Sorry, and cut your loss. I mean, not even losses. He was a good trade for them, but I think at this point, it would be smart to get as much draft capital as possible. If you can get anything for Bobby Wagner, go ahead and trade him. I don't think you would. Johnny Newton, I would like to keep him. Frankie Louisville, I know he has not been good this year. I would like to keep him too, though, see what he does with a new DC. Besides that, Ertz, if you can maybe get something for him. Deron Payne, I would like to keep. If anyone wants any of our guys in the secondary besides like Mikey and Amos, then maybe maybe Brandon Coleman. We don't have a lot of draft or guys to trade, but it is what it is. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.